Lord, I come to tell you I love you, to tell you I need you, to tell you there's no better place for me than in your arms, to tell you I'm sorry for running in circles, for placing my focus on the waves, not on your face. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace. I'm so forgetful, but you always remind me. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace. So I come, Lord, I come. I come. Lord, I come to tell you I love you, to tell you I need you, to tell you there's no better place for me than in your arms, to tell you I'm sorry for running in circles, for placing my focus on the waves, not on your face. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace in the storm. In the storm. I'm so forgetful, but you always remind me. You're the only one who brings me peace. You're the only one who brings me peace.
Good morning. Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm finally live on a Tuesday. I love it. Good morning, Pam, Dr. Colleen. Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Jackie, Bert, Nikki. Love you guys. Thank you for joining. So today we're going to be in Luke, and normally I have it all pulled up, and I do not believe I'm going to be able to do that. Maybe. No. So we're in Luke 8, starting in verse 40, and we're going to just finish out the chapter. So if you have your Bibles, scroll on over there. All right, so let's just dive on in. Karen, good morning. Good morning, everybody. All right, let's go. So this is, we're picking up the scene. Jesus is, he just healed the guy who was possessed with the legion of demons, and he sent him into the pig, and everybody's like sending him out. Like they're like, get out of here. Like they're afraid or whatever. In verse 37, he says, then all the people of the region of the asked Jesus to leave them because they were overcome with fear. So you get this scene where people are just rushing Jesus out, right? So then Jesus gets in the boat and they cross the lake or whatever. And now when Jesus returned, a crowd um, welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, uh, can we sit down now? Thank you, buddy. Um, then a man named Jairus, uh, the leader of the synagogue, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl of about 12, was dying. And Jesus was on his way. As Jesus was on his way, the crowd almost crushed him, and a woman was there. So let's actually just talk about this for a second. So I just love the contrast, right? Because on one side of the lake, you have all these people like, get out, like Jesus, you gotta go, right? And then on this side of the lake, everybody's like, yes, Jesus. Like it's just this clear contrast of like some people are like they're welcoming him, and the other people are pushing him away. And I'm always talking about evangelism, but I feel like, man, there's so often when we're out there, we're talking to folk. Some people are just so eager to receive, and they just soak it all up, and then other people are like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not, and that's okay. We've seen that pattern even in Jesus's day. Some people were ready to receive, and some people were pushing away. And so now we have this scene where Jairus, the leader of the synagogue, who no doubt has like seen Jesus perform some miracles, right? He's the ruler of the synagogue. This synagogue is the place where Jesus heals that guy on the Sabbath who had the hand issue, and we don't know how Jairus felt about that, right? Because in Capernaum, like Jesus was no longer allowed to do those things in the synagogue. They pushed him out, like you doing miracles on the Sabbath and all that stuff. And so we don't know if Jairus was one of those guys who was like, a part of keeping Jesus, out of the synagogue, or even like if he was mad about that situation. But what we do see is this kind of desperation, right? It's like it doesn't matter. I know Jesus can heal people, and my only child, my daughter, is sick and she's dying, and so it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what I think politically. It doesn't matter what I think, this way or that way. I'm going to the source that I know can actually give me answers, can actually give me, the results that I need. And so he's coming to Jesus. And I just love that desperation since people run into Jesus. And even then, like let's just keep reading. As Jesus went on his way, the crowd almost crushed him. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years, but no one could heal her. She came up, behind him and touched the edge of his cloak, and immediately her bleeding stopped. And Jesus said, "Who touched me?" Jesus asked. When they all denied it, Peter said, "Master, the people are crowding and pressing against you." And Jesus said, "Someone touched me. I know the power has gone out from me." Then the woman, seeing that she could not be unnoticed, came trembling and fell at his feet. In the presence of all the people, she told why she had touched him and how she had been instantly healed. Then he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." And I love this scene too, because again, there's this desperation where this lady who has had this issue for 12 years, has gone to other physicians and gone to all these other places, and nobody could heal her. No, like she just lost hope in all man-made solutions. Like there was no hope. but she knew if she could just touch the hem of Jesus's garment, if she could get in the proximity of Christ, that he could make her well. And so there was this desperation from her, and to press in, because also, like, she was deemed unclean in Judaism, right? She had this issue of blood, and so I'm sure she wasn't allowed in the synagogue. I'm sure she wasn't allowed to touch anybody, because whoever she touched is now therefore unclean. And so she tried to do it, kind of hidden. But God, who's great in mercy, is rich in mercy, showed compassion, and I just love that. And so while Jesus was still speaking, someone came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. Your daughter is dead. He said, "Don't bother the teacher anymore." Hearing this, Jesus said to Jairus, sorry, "Don't be afraid, just believe and she will be healed." When he arrived at the house of Jairus, he did not let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. Meanwhile, all the people were wailing and mourning for her. "Stop wailing," Jesus said. "She is not dead, but asleep." They laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. But he took her by the hand, and he said, "My child, get up." Her spirit returned, and at once she stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat, and the parents were astonished, but he ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened. And I just love this scene. There's one thing that's interesting, and I don't know why, but Jesus always speaks to dead folk, right? Like he always says, "My child," or he speaks to them like they're alive, like they can hear him. And I think we talked about this, a couple weeks ago, but it's because they are, right? Like we don't just cease to exist. Like when our flesh is no longer, we're somewhere else, right? And for us, who are confessing believers, we're going to be with him in paradise, right? And so I love that. But then just this idea that Jesus shows up in the scene, and these people would laugh at him and say yeah, she's dead, and I don't know, maybe they didn't recognize Jesus, maybe they didn't know anything about him. Obviously Jairus, was in faith. Obviously, he knew what was gonna happen, but so often, hey, Papa, with the motorcycle helmet on. There we go. Mm-hmm. So I just love that.
He was riding a motorcycle here.
I think he rode his motorcycle here. Yeah. But Jesus comes in, he speaks to the child, and she gets up, and I think the theme or the encouragement and exhortation today is just this whole idea of desperation. You have all these people who are desperate for Christ, and it doesn't matter if people are laughing. It doesn't matter what people might say, right? Like the other Pharisees that come to the synagogue, Jairus doesn't care anything about that. Man, he's so desperate for Christ. He's so desperate for his daughter to be made well. He will go through whatever. And so, is there a place in our life where we're desperate for Christ? Is there a place in our life, or do we know people who are in our life who are desperate, and they're still in the midst of trying to seek out other positions, trying to seek out other resources that this kingdom has to offer? Man, send them to Christ. Let's send them running towards Christ, because he's the only one that can meet their needs. All right, so I hope this was a blessing to you guys. I hope this was an encouragement on this beautiful Tuesday morning. And we'll be back here at 9 for some prayer. All right, guys. Love you. Peace.